What's going on, guys? So this is going to be a review for season 1 of the series called Happy, which was a sci-fi original series based on a comic book by Grant Morrison and stars Christopher Maloney as the main character, Nick Sachs, and Patton Oswalt as the voice of the CGI imaginary character, Happy. There's also a Patreon request for Cthulhu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but if you are a giant Lovecraftian monster, then please spare me. Anyways, guys, so if you want a video topic of your choice, just head on over to my Patreon. The link will be in the description below. If you do a $50 donation or higher, anything like that, I'll do a video about anything of your choice, anything that's not like hurtful, hateful, or harmful towards anybody else. And this is going to be a review of Happy for the Patreon request. And this was one wild ride of a series. And look, I want to be honest in every single review and analysis that I do. I want to make sure I'm sharing my actual, honest opinions and thoughts with you guys. So I will say, though I did enjoy Happy as a series overall, it definitely wasn't my favorite. Probably isn't one that's going to stick around in my mind very much. But I'll also say that if I had watched this 10 years earlier, this probably would have been right up my alley and exactly what I was looking for. But I don't know if it really resonates with myself right now, and I'll try to explain what I mean. I'll start with the positives of the series. One thing I could tell is that they were doing a lot of kind of parody and social satire with the character archetypes that they were given. Nick Sachs, the main character, he is somebody that we've seen a million times before in a million different other shows and stories. He is this disgruntled ex-cop, this very hardened, hard-ass kind of guy that just says things that pisses people off, but deep down, you know, he's got a heart of gold and everything like that. He really does want to do good, but he's been through so much shit that he's basically kind of drowning himself in alcohol and nihilism. And we've seen this kind of character archetype many, many times before, but the thing that Happy does with it, which I think mostly works, but still kind of teeters on that edge of being a little bit too, I've seen this kind of thing before, is that it plays so much into that archetype that it almost becomes kind of a satire of itself. It's that we know you've seen this archetype a million times. We're going to do it again anyways, but we're just going to exaggerate the hell out of it. Exaggerate it to the point where, you know, he is doing these ridiculous things where he is drinking, to an obnoxious degree that, no normal human being could possibly get out of. He's also, you know, put in these kind of traps and situations where it's okay, he's obviously done for. There's no way a human being could ever escape from this. And yet he does, and it does it in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way where he beats up all the bad guys, destroys them, dismembers them in the most brutal, vicious, violent ways possible. So what I'm saying is we've seen the scenario where the disgruntled ex-cop is in a situation where the bad guys have him and there's no way he can get out, and he finds a way out. But with Happy, not only does he find a way out, but he finds a way that's so exaggerated and out there that it just kind of breaks any kind of physics of the modern world that we understand, delves completely into fantasy, and all of a sudden he's making he has 5 guys with guns on him, and then all of a sudden he's defeating all of them. One guy pulls out a chainsaw and falls onto the guy that has the chainsaw, and while he's fighting with 2 other guys, this is happening, and it's just it goes so ridiculously overboard. But I think that's the point of it. I think the point is to exaggerate the character archetype so much that it becomes a parody within itself. So you're seeing something you've seen before, but you're seeing it done so well and so specifically that it kind of takes over and just becomes the ultimate version of that archetype that you've seen. Does that make any sense? Because that's what I felt was happening with the character of Nick Sachs in Happy. And how, you know, he has that reluctance of I don't want to help anybody, I'm a lone wolf, you know, by himself kind of thing, and then slowly gets kind of won over to the point where he is helping. But even through helping, he causes so much destruction along the way and plays so much into his character type that it's just it becomes so ridiculous that it becomes kind of it just becomes its own thing. It's this is just what Happy is. Happy is this immense exaggeration of this type of character. So it kind of goes into whether you like this type of character to begin with, and that's the thing where I'm coming from, is because I've seen this character type so much that I'm just kind of done seeing it at this point. I've seen it in so many different movies and TV shows and mediums and stuff like that. So seeing this kind of I used to be a cop, I was a cop with a heart of gold, but I was a hard ass, and now I'm a drunk and I'm very nihilistic and stuff. It's just I'm just not very drawn to that type of character, even when they start to show like their positive sides, even when they start to show like, oh, they really do have a good heart and they want to help and stuff like that, even though those glimpses or even those action-packed moments, for me personally, I don't know, I just don't gravitate towards that type of character. So I appreciate what they were doing with him. I think the actor does a wonderful job in the role. I think he's fantastic in the role. But overall, it's just not my favorite type of character to watch. There's also lots of other kind of satire that is happening throughout the series. One is that the mob boss, well, his wife more specifically, is part of a reality TV show, which I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was a great idea. And some of the things that they pulled off doing it, like the producer, when she actually literally sees her dead sons, the producer's like, oh yeah, you should have a better reaction to this one or something like that. Like, just showcasing that kind of fake persona that people put on as far as like the reality TV shows and the TV shows that we watch. And just the idea that like the mob would be part of a reality TV show, like literally showing evidence of them like doing horrible things, but like it's part of it's just kind of like goes into that kind of that realm of like everything seems fake. So people are treating it as entertainment, even though it's something serious that's happening, and it's all just kind of made for like the profit and entertainment of the people that are watching. And so that was just like a fun little side plot aspect of the series. Now I guess I'll get into the series' title character, Happy. So what is Happy, and what does it have to do with anything that's happening in the series? Okay, so without spoiling anything, a little girl in episode 1 gets kidnapped, and she has an imaginary friend, a little unicorn that flies around named Happy. And Happy is essentially a Disney character thrown into an R-rated universe. So Happy is this guy who is happy. He dances, he sings, he wants to do the right thing, he wants to save the little girl. She does get kidnapped, and he goes out and seeks out our main character, Nick Sachs, for reasons which I won't get into, as far as like it would be a spoiler if you want to watch the series for yourself. But he finds this guy and is like, wants him to help him find the little girl. And Nick first has to come to the realization that the imaginary friend is real and not just like a hallucination from all the kind of like fucked up things that he's been doing in his life. And also, you're pairing that kind of like archetype, disgruntled character that I talked about before with kind of a happy-go-lucky character who's like literally named Happy. But I like what they did with the Happy character because they have him go through a lot of different kind of ups and downs along the way while being paired with a Nick Sachs character. He's not just one-dimensional. He's not just a happy, fun-loving character. That's what he starts out as. But as he starts experiencing more things alongside the main character, Nick Sachs, he starts to develop. And it's not like overblown either. Like he starts to develop a little bit more of a darker tinge to him. Like at one point he's willing to delve into torturing to get out information, but his version of torture is to tickle them with a feather. You know what I mean? So like, minor spoiler, I guess. I'm not telling you who or what or why, but so he starts to get kind of brought over, because of that, and he starts to experience things. He accidentally does cocaine at one point, which is kind of funny, and so he actually, really has development alongside the journey that they're going on to find this girl throughout the series. Patton Oswalt obviously does the voice of Happy, and I thought he did a really good job doing it, and also showed the intricacies of when Happy is, feeling down or scared or anything that happens to him. And it also opens up this world where there are multiple imaginary characters throughout this world of Happy, and nobody can see them except for people that have had imaginary friends in their life, or somebody like Nick Sachs, which I won't spoil, is actually able to see them. So it is also kind of interesting that you have this kind of like secondary world of imaginary characters that exist within kind of the real harsh reality of what's happening. And that's the thing I'll talk about the series too, is that it's the tone of the series goes from like wild and wacky, like sort of like a Looney Tunes on cocaine sort of thing, where like characters' heads are being blown off, and it's like, the violence is very like cartoonish and outlandish and exaggerated over the top. But then there also has these moments of kind of like grim, dark reality where it's showing you, what really happens to people, when they've kind of lost all hope and they've become like these downtrodden characters, and some of the violence, gets semi-realistic, while some of it is also like exaggerated and playful. And it's like, on the one hand, it's not as though you're seeing it through the viewpoint of the main character, and that's why it's exaggerated. It's like the whole world is fantasy, but yet there's these grim, dark realities that are sprinkled in throughout the series that like kind of remind you of horrors that are happening in real life. For example, what am I talking about? I don't know. For example, there's the one where the children get abducted, and we know, especially like with like the higher elites and things in Hollywood and stuff like that, there is a human trafficking problem in the United States, in the world to begin with. And what you're seeing here in Happy is kind of this, again, exaggerated sort of showcasing of what is happening to these children as they're getting abducted, as they're getting sold off, the things that are happening to them, and how like fucked up it is. And it's done in a very like comic book-esque way, but you're also kind of like forced to see like the reality of like this kind of thing really happens in the world. You have a couple of grounded characters too that bring it to a more of a sense of realism. One is like the mother of the daughter that was kidnapped, looking for her daughter. She plays her character very, very realistically, not exaggerated at all, and like an actual mother really scared for the well-being of her child. And actually a lot of her scenes were the most traumatic to me, because it really felt like a mother frantically searching for her child. But then you throw that within the midst of everything else around her being like super exaggerated, and it does give you this kind of like mixed feelings. And I think what Happy does is like it throws you into, you know, the exaggerated chaoticness of it all, like the fun of it, and then it hits you over the head with like, hey, this is a real thing that's happening. You know, the people, like the children go missing and it's fucking horrible, and then the cops don't do enough and we never find them. And like, if not for a character like Nick Sachs, you know, this fictional character that doesn't really exist within our real world as a character archetype, like I said before, you know, they're not here to actually like find and rescue these children. These children are actually like you know, taken, and their mothers are distraught, their parents are distraught for years. And it's like super fucked up that like that's thrown in there in the midst of this kind of like crazy show, is that, okay, here's this mother that's really like heartened and like disheartened and like crying over her child in the midst of a world at the same time that has these reality TV shows glorifying these horrible people, like people in the mob, for instance. And even though our reality TV shows in real life doesn't follow the mob, they still oftentimes follow like really like shitty people, because that's good entertainment, while at the same time, you know, that's all kind of masking what is actually happening with like people in the real world. I don't know, maybe the show is deeper than I thought it was. I'm just kind of ranting here. Now, as for the Patreon request, you were talking about the characters relating to things that are happening in the real world, like such as Nick Sachs being like representing the people, and Happy representing the belief and acknowledgement in, you know, imaginary things, or like in angels and demons. And I wanted to dive more into that, into what you were saying when you requested the Patreon video. But I'll be honest, I didn't particularly see those things myself within the series, so I can't comment on them, at least probably in the way that you want me to. So I apologize for that, I really do. But other than that, I hope I am giving like a full, honest breakdown of what I thought of the series. Now, when I say overall I did enjoy Happy, but it's not something I would come back to, I do mean that, like, for the one hand, like I said, the character of Nick Sachs is just something that I don't really gravitate towards, or something that I don't really connect with that character very much. Other than seeing some of the themes and ideas that they're sprinkling in, for the most part, a lot of the episodes had great moments in them, but then in the meantime, like in between those moments, like there's these like big shocking moments that are crazy, like the action sequences for one. Also, when Happy, the character, kind of like comes in, like has and grows a spine and fights back for himself, that was a great moment. When characters are kind of reunited, there's great moments, but in the meantime, it kind of just it's not boring, that's not what I'm trying to say, but I think that like in between like the big moments of the show, the big reveals or the big action scenes, I just kind of wasn't really super invested in what I was watching, other than understanding and recognizing the ideas of like, wow, this mother lost her child, or like, isn't it funny that the mob is part of a reality TV show, or, you know, isn't it crazy that like this guy Nick Sachs can seemingly get out of everything and do it, you know. It's just like in between these moments, I just wasn't gravitated, I wasn't connected to the characters on the screen in the way that I wanted to be. And again, I feel like this show if I watched this when I was 10 years younger, I think I would have liked it a lot more. I think I would just be more into that kind of like mindset of it. But I think right now, just because of how much media that I've consumed and whatnot, it didn't stand out to me, other than what like a couple of ideas that it was presenting. But other than that, it wasn't like a show that I feel like I want to show everybody, or want to talk about with everybody, or you know, rewatch over and over again. It was a good watch. I definitely enjoyed the episodes, I enjoyed particular moments, but I just don't know if overall it's a show for me. entirely. There were a lot of characters that I just didn't really care for. One was like the mob boss guy. The other was even like the reveal. I don't want to give everything away with spoilers, but who like the real head boss was. The things he was doing was very interesting. There was like some crazy like orgies and stuff. Besides it being a shocking, exciting moment, I just didn't really feel like any kind of connection to any of these people. In fact, I think the character that I enjoyed most was probably either Happy himself or the character, he was the torturer of the series. Yes, the character of Smoothie. This guy was like super creepy, played his character very well. I definitely enjoyed him on screen. The reveal in one of his later episodes of what was going on with him was, that was something else. Yeah. Anyways, guys, if you like chaotic violence, social satire, the character archetype of the disgruntled cop who's now kind of a drunk, also a hitman, also saving people, also with a heart of gold, also like with an imaginary friend, best friend, partner. Anyways, if any of that sounds exciting to you, then you will probably enjoy this series. It is wacky, it is off the wall. I think it's definitely going to give you something, whatever that thing is. Overall, I would give the series a positive review. I definitely did enjoy it, but like I said, it just didn't stick with me. I just didn't connect with a lot of the characters, and it just, it's one of those series that I liked, but I didn't love, and probably not one that I'm going to revisit. But thank you very much for suggesting it. It did definitely put it on my radar, something that like I had heard about, I'd seen like trailers and stuff for it before, but now that I've actually experienced it, now that I know what Happy's really all about, and it did give me some great moments along the way. So I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope you did enjoy the review. Thank you for the Patreon donation. I really do appreciate it, especially now with what's happening during the current filming of this video with my channel kind of being in limbo. The Patreon donations are definitely really helping me out with everything going on. So if you guys would like me to review a show, check out something, a manga, anime, whatever it is, TV show, movie, and you want a review of it, you want your own video of it, definitely check out my Patreon. The link is down below, and I will make a video of whatever topic you choose. Or if you just want me to do a video on whatever topic you want, you know, as long as it's not hateful or harmful to anybody else, I don't mind giving my thoughts, ideas, opinions on whatever topic you guys think that you want to hear. So let me know that in the comments below. Also, you know, if you just want to donate like a $1 or anything like that to the Patreon, or any donation that you want, definitely does help, and I really do appreciate it. But other than that, guys, thank you a lot for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Please give it a thumbs up. Please give it a like, comment, subscribe if you want to stick around and see more. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you in the next video.